Hey everybody, 404 Yeti here. So I just want to welcome you to my first YouTube channel. My goal of this channel is to work on my cybersecurity skills, but also to kind of work on my communication skills. So I would like to kind of show you different cybersecurity concepts that I've been working on, different challenges that I perform, and try to give an explanation. I feel this is really useful because a lot of times when we are doing challenges or reports, we're more focused on written. But a lot of times now with recent employment changes, I think it's better now to have a good oral communication. So my goal now is to not only have something written, but also something that's on video to show that I can explain certain speech patterns and just to kind of explain to my audience how to do this. Okay, so if you don't know, my name is 404 Yeti. I've been working in cybersecurity for a few years. I currently am a vice president for an ISC2 chapter. My concentration is software engineering, so I've done a lot of virtualization, a lot of tooling, and recently I've been more focused on malware analysis and web app pen testing. So another caveat for me is I'm also into healthcare cybersecurity because I worked in healthcare for about 10 years. So my main goal is to kind of show how healthcare providers, hospitals, emergency services, their vulnerabilities and how to stay up to date with that. But for now, let's go ahead and get into today's exercise. So this is a really cool website made by Alex Olson. He created something called BugForge.io, which is a really cool website to practice web application tests. And he gives some bite-sized bugs that you can practice daily, you can earn some points, stuff like this. So let's get into it. So first off, I already did the challenge, but I wanted to go ahead and do it again to kind of demonstrate what we do. So if you haven't started it yet, you'll want to click start weekly lab or start daily lab. So we'll go ahead and start that back up. And what we'll do is we'll copy this URL link. So typically what you want to do is you want to use a tool like Burp Suite or Kaido to practice, right? Or to use to intercept traffic. So in my case, I like to use Kaido because I recently realized that it was made in Rust and I'm kind of a Rust nerd. So we're going to pull that up and we're going to start a new session. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to intercept traffic from this website to try to, kind of see what we can find, what information is useful, and all this stuff. So what we'll do is we're going to pop that up. And then I will kind of clear my history from my previous engagement. So here we're going to kind of sit around intercept HTTP history, and we're also going to play around with replay. So for now, let's do HTTP history. So we already see that we're already forwarding traffic. So we're going to use kind of the Chromium extension launcher. We'll go in here, and what it'll do is it'll pop up a Chromium browser, and we will try to go to that URL and check out what this website looks like. Okay, so the first thing that we really should do with any engagement web application test is we need to register for an account because we need to have full functionality of the web app. Right now, all we see is a login page. We really can't do much with that. Sure, you can probably brute force, you can probably look at the HTML data, but it's not really useful. So let's go ahead and make an account. So I always use this. I always use the repeating information like tester at tester.com, tester123. And then after that, just kind of build your account and go in. So what we want to do now is we want to kind of get the functionality. What is this website doing? What is it capable of doing? So we see, okay, we can build our own pizza. We can make an order. So for this exercise, we're going to just go ahead and make an order. So I like pepperoni. So I'm just going to go ahead and order a pepperoni. We'll go ahead and go to checkout. And then we're going to go ahead and put in whatever. So we're just going to put a random address, a random phone number. Another thing about this website is it's very vulnerable. So you can put in a fake number and they don't care. Fake email, fake card number, whatever. So we'll go ahead and place the order. So once that is being processed, one thing we want to look back at is we want to look at Kaido. We can see, okay, now we have a lot of data here. But what we want to look at is this interesting one. This one is API, orders, and one. So we can see that this has created a order for ourselves. We can see, okay, hey, look, we made a pepperoni pizza. This is our credit card information, our order information, all this. So it kind of gives us our information. But if you notice here, we have a 1. So this kind of indicates to us that we could potentially manipulate this information for an IDOR. So what we want to do in this case, because we're the only people on the app at the moment, is we want to create a second account. So let's just go ahead and back out of here. And we're going to perform the same actions. So we're going to re-register. We're going to go ahead and put in all the information again. So I just do the same thing, you know, try to make it simple myself, because what you want to do, especially when you're in engagements, you don't really want to fumble around with passwords and stuff like this. And actually, I'm creating a tool to manage this. I'll talk about that in future videos. But for now, let's go ahead and order another pizza. Go through the same process. We're going to check out. Okay, so very simple stuff. We're not going to make things too complicated, but we want to go ahead and go through that process again. So now, if we go back to Kaido, we see our order. Now we're order number 2. So that's pretty easy, right? So now we say, okay, now we have 2 orders in the system. This is really important. So what we want to do now is we want to try to manipulate this. But we can't exactly do it from our HTTP history. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take this to replay. So replay is very similar to Burp Suite, and where we can take requests, put it in like a replay section, and manipulate the data. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and right click, send to replay, default collection. And now we're going to go ahead and see if we can manipulate this data. So we have our order 2. So if we send a request just for proof of concept, we should see that it should be successful, right? Okay, yep, then we got a 200 okay, looks like everything worked out. But let's go ahead and try to change this to 1, because remember from our previous order from tester 1, or from tester, that we had an order of 1. So let's see if we can get that request accepted. And it did come back with a 200 okay. And here we are. We have that information. Everything looks okay. And look, now we have our flag. So for our purposes, we already have the flag, but we can see that this was a IDOR vulnerability, which is very, very important, because if we can manipulate IDOR to look at other people's information, like patient information, credit card history, emails, stuff like this, then we are kind of in big trouble. And as you can see here, you know, obviously we can look at this. We have an address, a phone number, payment method. So for this instance, this could be very dangerous, because obviously now we're delving into PII, which could kind of hurt people in certain regulation fields, like if you're in healthcare, or you have GDPR customers from the EU, stuff like this. So okay, so guys, so we can see that this is really, really important. So we need to make sure that we are constantly trying to make sure our endpoints are secure. We need to check for vulnerabilities like IDOR, stuff like this. Okay, so guys, this is my first video. This is very quick and dirty. I'm just trying to work on how to explain concepts. If the concept seemed confusing or if it didn't make sense, you know, please leave a comment so I can kind of refine that for the future. But hopefully you looked at this BugForge challenge and said, okay, this makes a lot of sense for me. And then you guys will also try to perform this for yourselves and gain some knowledge along the way. Okay, so guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.